Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Thursday, the 5th of August, 2021. Brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. Whether you are looking to get your home decorated or maybe you want to do this as a business. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York on Long Island. At telephone number 631-957-5106, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. And also brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 162 Ocean Avenue. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, which is not that far from 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com. So here we are. I was trying to figure out today, Joe. We're obviously we're in the third summer month, but in terms of the astronomical stuff, have we passed the halfway point, or is that coming up any minute now?
Tomorrow night, 7:27 p.m. That'll be the midpoint of summer between the solstice and the upcoming fall equinox. So you could look at it from the standpoint that the water glass is either half empty or half filled. But I don't know. I think a lot of people have already begun noticing, Joe, the effects of the shortening of the days. Certainly, it is darker now in the morning for all of you early risers, and the sun. Well, it's still up at 8 o'clock, but not too much beyond that. It looks like it will continue to get progressively darker in the evening and in the morning too, as we move closer to the equinox, and that'll be next month on I believe the 22nd of September. But yeah, the halfway point, astronomically, believe it or not, is tomorrow. Where is the summer going?
Well, it's going to its ultimate conclusion, and I believe it's on the 7th or on the 8th is when we start seeing the average highs and the average lows start to drop. They don't drop very quickly. The drop accelerates when we get into September, because September, October, November, those are the 3 months that the average temperatures fall the fastest. But speaking of falling temperatures, would you like to take a guess as to what my low was this morning?
58.
I'm sorry, say that again?
58.
56 was my low this morning. It was absolutely delightful. And I'm just checking to see. I'm just checking to see at the Blairsville Airport. Now, they got to 81 today, so that was their high, which, by the way, was achieved at 1:55 this afternoon. And the airport low was 62 with a dew point of 59. So I had some low clouds and fog this morning at sunup, so I'm going to figure that my dew point was either right at 56 or at 55. But I have to tell you, it was one of the most delightful mornings today, with the blue sky and sunshine, and the humidity was low, even though the dew points were probably in the low 60s. But you can feel the difference from day to day. It really was just, this summer here has been a big surprise to me. I expected it to be cooler, being in the mountains, but I didn't expect not seeing one 90-degree day yet. Not one.
And, beginning to wonder whether or not you're ever going to see one now that we're moving toward the halfway point of summer. It's just amazing that you have managed. I haven't kept count of how many 90s I've had, but I think I've had at least 8 or 9 of those kind of days up here. And looks like we may be in line for possibly a couple of more before this upcoming week is over.
Well, the poll tonight puts the Newark thermometer on the line, and I just posed a very simple question about next week. Will Newark, New Jersey hit 100 degrees on any day next week? And with 38 votes in, I cannot vote, by the way. I can, because I could write the poll, but I cannot vote in the poll. But
Oh,
I will tell you that 59% say yes, 41% say no, and I'm going to side with the no people.
I sided with the no people as well. I think 100 would be pushing it, even for Newark, but
I'm sure
it
they'll
does look like to be
try.
I'm sure they will
I'm
try.
sure they'll
It's
try.
going to be, it'll be oppressive next week, no question about that, though, whether
Uh,
we hit 100 or not.
yeah, it will. So let's get going in terms of what happened today. Of course, we dealing with this stalled frontal boundary, which kind of came to a grinding halt for a little while this morning along the immediate coast. But things started to move along again. I did notice, Joe, that there actually was some pretty heavy rain that fell in southeastern New England. I don't know what the rainfall amounts were over there, but there was a cluster of heavy rain that set up there during this afternoon. That's now subsequently moved on out to the northeast, but was a little bit of a surprise. But all in all, for the areas that got into some sunshine away from the coast and got into it early enough, you wound up with a pretty decent day. And now, of course, we're just going to wait for this frontal boundary to fall apart and start to bring up the humidity, and the Atlantic ridge will build, and that's going to increase the humidity even more, taking us through the weekend and into next week.
Yes, next week looks like a dog day. Dew point temperature will probably be hovering most, if not all, of next week, somewhere in the mid to even upper 60s. So it's not going to be equatorial heat and humidity, but it will be enough so that I think many of us will be turning on our fans and air conditioners again after a brief turn off these past couple of days, and maybe on into tomorrow as well.
Yeah, the frontal boundary runs down all the way into the coastal southeast and over Florida, and also seeing some moisture back in the western Gulf of Mexico. We are seeing clouds from central Texas northeastward. It's kind of a narrow area of showers and some thunderstorms running from Oklahoma on up into Minnesota. A bit of a break, and then more clouds and moisture with showers coming into the northwestern part of the U.S., particularly up into parts of Idaho and Montana. The one thing I'm noticing today, I think today from the standpoint, not everywhere, because clearly there are still smoke issues going on the satellite. You can see them. You can see that milky white where it's supposed to be clear skies covers areas from Montana and the Dakotas on south into northwest Texas. And also a little bit kind of extends down along the lower Gulf Coast. But this is probably one of the better days this week in terms of the amount of smoke in the air. There seems to be a little bit less from the wildfires on the satellite loop today. There's a I don't know, the satellite loop, Joe. It kind of has a slightly crisper look to it. It's not, it's not a huge difference, but it is a little noticeable that the satellite loop today looks a little better than it has in the last over the last several days.
Not as milky, if you will,
Right.
as we've seen in other days. So that's a positive point to take away, with us tonight. Is it's not really that bad, but still we have wildfires that are going on out west, and it continues to be very hot and very dry out west. And meantime, for us, coming off of the third wettest July on record, at least at Central Park, and it looks like we might be in line for a little bit of shower activity. No, not a whole heck of a lot, coming our way maybe for a part of the upcoming weekend.
All right, well, on the radar tonight, you can see that area I was talking about, just moving off the coast northeast of Boston, now in the Gulf of Maine. And there are some showers going on through much of the state of Maine and into New Brunswick. But south and west of there, really, it's pretty quiet. A couple of isolated cells, one in central PA, another one that's just dying out there in western Maryland, a few other scattered cells in parts of West Virginia and in western Virginia. And then you get into a bit more numerous in the way of showers off the North Carolina coast, touching parts of coastal South Carolina, Florida looking a bit better today. A couple of clusters of showers and storms, but again, like the smoke, less in the way of showers today than what we've seen in past days. Scattered stuff down in the western Gulf. What's kind of interesting here is that usually this time of year is you get scattered showers and storms all throughout the southeastern states and the Gulf states and the lower Tennessee Valley, but not that much going on. And I think you could thank that trough in the eastern part of the United States that got left behind. And of course, some drier air that kind of intruded far enough south. I mean, you do see some scattered showers right along the Alabama-Mississippi border, for example. But normally, this whole area should look like somebody has chicken pox or something with the marks of showers and storms. You're just not you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. So
no, it's an atypically dry. Well, I mean, we just heard how you were lauding how wonderful it is down there where you are, and even in a typical summer in August in Georgia, even at an altitude of 2,000 feet, there's a bit of uncomfortable condition that usually occurs. But to see the way the southeast looks right now, you're absolutely right, because normally, especially in the afternoon, the breakout of convective activity, it pops up like measles or chicken pox across the southeast. And in fact, some people say, well, we're going to get our typical 4 o'clock thunderstorm, but it's not happening, at least in this pattern, at least for the moment. So it's been very unusual for this first week of August 2021, at least down in the southeast.
Right, and there's a band of showers and storms in eastern Oklahoma, northwestern Arkansas. You can see them all scattered around the Great Lakes and back over to parts of Minnesota and Nebraska. Further west, kind of busy again today in parts of Montana and in the northwest U.S. And this is where the Storm Prediction Center has 2 areas of marginal risk. One in Idaho, Montana, western Montana, eastern half of Oregon, and down to northern Utah, northeastern Nevada, and also a sliver of marginal risk in eastern and southern Minnesota, down into northwestern Iowa and northwestern Wisconsin. That is for today. Now, as we look ahead to tomorrow's severe weather risk, which will carry us from Friday into Saturday, we are once again going to see just marginal risk. 2 small areas, Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, southeastern Minnesota. The other one, western parts of Nebraska, south and North Dakota, southeastern Montana, a good chunk of Wyoming. And then on Saturday that was Saturday into Sunday, and this one that was Friday into Saturday. This is Saturday into Sunday. And here we have the first time in a bit where we're seeing a little bit more than just a marginal risk, but they actually have slight risk highlighted in the southern half of Minnesota, western Wisconsin, much of Iowa, eastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, and you can see the much larger area of marginal risk and just kind of a blanket general thunderstorm risk for everybody east of the Mississippi. I don't know how much we're going to see. I was looking, Joe, Saturday night into Sunday morning. There looks like there's a little upper air perturbation that sort of moves up out of the northeast Gulf and heads up the east of the Appalachians with an area of downpours. The GFS was carrying this along. I didn't get a chance to look at the NAM. I included the chance that there could be a couple of scattered downpours or even maybe a thunderstorm Saturday night into early Sunday morning. And then that goes out and we should, go back to very warm to hot and humid conditions for the rest of the day on Sunday. That's sort of how I played it.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. And it'll, it's been a little while since we've had just general thought. I mean, we didn't have it today, and we didn't have it for the forecast for tomorrow. Saturday will be the first time in a few days there is some mention of general thunderstorm coverage. And I might also point out that if you're around the Cape Cod, or up in the Boston area, or even as far west as Rhode Island, there is no general thunderstorm forecast for Saturday either. So a little bit interesting for us in that here in the Northeast, we're getting a bit of a break from convection and showers popping up and thunderstorms as well. But we're going to get back into this as we get into later Saturday and Sunday, and again next week. Looks like for thunderstorm activity at least, looks like a rather juicy week, if you will.
What, in terms of activity for next week? I didn't think it was going to be all that exciting, all that.
No, well, no. What I'm saying is that at least any possible thunderstorm or shower threat, at least will have some of the high levels of humidity to work off of.
Right.
It doesn't look
Okay.
like
Yeah. That I can
yeah,
go for. I just didn't
yeah.
think that there was going to be any kind of widespread activity until late next week, because we don't even have a cold front coming anywhere close until maybe Friday of next week.
Right, right. And it's a pattern that now, quite frankly, I would enjoy, and I have seen in some Augusts, a flow of air out of Canada and a series of 2, 3, 4 days of dry, pleasant conditions. We're not looking for that, but on the other hand, even though we're going to have the bit of heat and humidity, it's not going to be one that is going to lead to every day that threat of afternoon and evening showers and storms throughout the region popping up. There'll be pop-ups, but again, it's not going to be very widespread. It's going to be just peppering the area, and again, mainly later on next week, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can certainly agree with that. WPC is not too impressed with rainfall amounts next week, Joe. Pretty dry along the coastal plain. A bit more southern Virginia down into Florida. Some places with about 1.5 inches of liquid. There's some heavy rains offshore the Carolinas from leftover frontal boundaries. Also in and around the Great Lakes, anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches there, and in the upper Mississippi and even into the middle Mississippi Valley. But across the Gulf Coast and into Texas, fairly large area there that gets very little in the way of precip next week. Just a few spots right along the immediate coast. And of course, the southwest is dry. The northwest is a little busier. Meanwhile, here's what it looks like. At least at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we had a low that was centered down in southeastern New England, west of Cape Cod, south of Boston. And this is what I was mentioning earlier from that low center. You had a little cluster there of some heavy downpours that moved on through. And now in the 21Z analysis, a low is being analyzed south of Nantucket. So that lead low has kind of run up into the Gulf of Maine, and there's another little low to the south. But you can see where the frontal boundary is now. It's offshore. Winds have gone northwest everywhere else from Connecticut on down into Delaware. Then they sort of turn around to the south when you get into Virginia. But I'm looking at these dew points here. I mean, these dew points for this time of year, in North Georgia, I'm not sure which station. I don't know if any of these stations are actually Atlanta, but you're looking at dew points in the low 60s in some of the. I think this one here is Rome, Georgia. That's 85 with a dew point of 63, and the other 85 with a dew point of 64 is Gainesville. And then if you look, Joe, in the Western Carolinas. Asheville is 77 with a dew point of 58 at 5 o'clock this afternoon. I mean, I'm in that air. That kind of that air sort of bled down, because if you look on the surface map here, so the yellow area, that's all mountains, and I'm kind of in this little patch of yellow that's in northern Georgia. So I'm actually sitting there on a 2,000-foot top. So some of that dry air definitely filtered south, and even going back in Ohio, Indiana. Illinois, Kentucky, dew points here very, very reasonable for this time of year. And obviously they're reasonable in upstate New York and back through Pennsylvania and Vermont and New Hampshire. So tomorrow it starts to change. And for sure, when we get into Saturday and Sunday, those dew points are going to be coming up.
And we do have what I guess you could call a backdoor front that is trying to work its way down from the north and comes rather close to our area, Joe, for later Sunday and early Monday. But then it just kind of screeches to a halt before it fully gets into the tri-state area and then bounces back to the north. So maybe there'll be some relief for folks up in northern New York State, central and northern New England, latter part of the weekend and at the start of next week. But even there, it's going very quickly away as that front bounces back north at the start of next week and puts everybody in the Northeast back in a rather warm and also rather humid airflow.
Yeah. So tomorrow looks really good here from Maine down into the southeast, except right along the coast where you can see some showers. But everybody else still looking okay. That frontal boundary is still kind of hanging around, and it hasn't completely disintegrated yet. So that's actually going to slow the dew point rise a little bit tomorrow. It's going to come up, but it's not going to fly up. But by Saturday, that frontal boundary's pretty much gone, and now you've got this weak low that forms, looks like right along the Georgia coast. You could barely find it, but it's kind of edges its way upward during the day on Saturday with rains into North Carolina, southeastern Virginia. And then here we go again, Joe, where you had the GFS for how many days now, bringing an area of downpours Saturday night into Sunday morning all the way up into southern New England. Now, no, it gets to Delaware, and then the whole thing just basically falls apart, and you don't get very much of anything at all. I just wonder, there's that small 10-14 low that's southeast of New Jersey, and there's a bit of a northeast isobar there, around that low. Is Sunday going to wind up being a little bit of a problem in that there may be some clouds in some places that take all day to get out of the way? I mean, I'm just kind of putting it out there now that I'm looking at this.
Well, the sun is not as high up now as it was, let's say, a couple of months ago. That's another artifact of the shortening of the days. The path of the sun across the sky is a bit lower now. And what that means is that whereas, let's say, in late June or early July, if I use the unmeteorological term schmutz, greeting you first thing in the morning at daybreak, that schmutz pretty well will be gone very quickly because the sun gets high up rather quickly, burns that stuff off. But now that we've reached the halfway point of summertime, you start off with cloud cover, stratus cloud cover, or as I said a few moments ago, schmutz. It's going to take a while longer for that stuff to thin out and burn off. So, yeah, that's something that might be considered. If you start out with that stuff, it may not be until later on in the morning or midday before you're finally out into some sunshine again. So something
Right.
to consider for Sunday.
And on top of that, you do have you mentioned there's this little backdoor front that comes down Sunday morning. I mean, it will basically fall apart. But I'm just kind of looking at this. I'm just sort of thinking, maybe got to be a little bit careful on Sunday in terms of cloud cover. It'll go away eventually. So by Monday, we got the southwest flow. You still got this little closed surface low southeast of Long Island, though. But the bottom line is that it's not going to stop the transition over into heat and humidity. In the final analysis, it's going to get there eventually. Also, just want to point out here, Saturday night, we showed you that risk of severe weather for the upper Midwest and the middle and upper Mississippi Valley. And you see that there's a 94 low in southeastern South Dakota, and a weather front that's swinging eastward, and the GFS producing some heavy rains there in parts of Iowa into northwest Missouri. So that that reflects that whole slight risk area. Again, this is for Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then it flares up again on Sunday across Wisconsin, Iowa, and over into northern Illinois, in and around Chicago. But here in the Northeast, I mean, that system just kind of gets pulled up into Canada. We're in a southwest flow pretty much all of next week. I suppose, some opportunities for now and again that there could be some scattered showers or storms, but they should be few and far between until the next cold front gets here. And that looks to be maybe sometime on Friday. A bit of a high builds in behind it, but Joe, the air behind it is not all that cool. Maybe we get a little bit of dew point relief, but you're not going to get a whole lot of temperature relief until you get the northwest flow to do something, maybe strengthen again and bring a stronger cold front. And I'm just looking at this going into, this takes us almost to August 21st. And I guess for the first time in 2 months, we may go 16 days without seeing a deep trough coming down into the eastern part of the United States.
Yes, for a while it was coming in like a conveyor belt, but then what apparently put an end to that, or at least slowed it down significantly, is that subtropical high offshore, as we noted a few days ago, flexing its muscles, so to speak, so that when the next in the series of troughs headed our way, it just came in and just is just bouncing off of that strong subtropical high. That's what set up the stage for the front to lie just to our south and east this morning with those waves of low pressure moving by. But that seemingly is a pattern changer of sorts because, as you just noted, Joe, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much in the way of any more troughs dropping in from Canada for at least the better part of the next week.
Yep. All right, let's take care of the tropics, where the Hurricane Center has got their eye on two systems. And I'm going to go right to the 5-day outlook here, which will carry us into the first part of next week. And we do have one lead wave, which is going to pass northeast of the Leeward Islands sometime over the weekend or early next week. And the Hurricane Center only has a 20% chance of development there. But the one system that is now moving off the African coast, a 70% probability of a tropical depression, saying conditions appear somewhat conducive for gradual development, which probably means that either it won't develop at all or it will develop rapidly. It's always either one. But they have a 70% chance that this could become a tropical depression sometime later this week, over the weekend or early next week, as the system moves generally west or northwest. And other than that one run of the GFS yesterday, which really kind of wrapped this system up, every run after that has really not done very much. Now it does, Joe. I'm looking at this. By Sunday afternoon and evening, it's got 1,002 low there out in the tropical Atlantic at about 11 and 32. So that's either a tropical depression or even a tropical storm. In fact, it even takes it down to a 995. It moves it northwestward, though, and then it just kind of loses it as it heads out in the Atlantic. There's still a low there, but it doesn't really do anything with it. It just keeps it kind of weak, and you can follow it along till it gets to Bermuda, and then moves on out to the east from there. So on this run, we can say that at least there's some identifiable feature that the model seems to have picked up on. Now we'll see whether that leads to anything. Conditions are, we were talking about the fact that we had this big upper low in the subtropical Atlantic that is pulling out. So conditions are in the Atlantic are going to are becoming less hostile for tropical cyclone development. And I do have the satellite loop from late this afternoon, and you can actually see there's quite a bit of convection coming off the African coast. So that's the wave that they're looking at. The one that's east of the Leeward Islands, really, there's not a whole lot there. It's just some patchy clouds and some patchy showers. So nothing's going to come of that. But we'll keep an eye on the system that's now coming off the African coast, because that might make my August 8th prediction work.
Well, if it does, it will become Tropical Cyclone Fred. That would be the F storm. Last year, we're still running behind in terms of enumeration or in terms of the names, but last year we did not have the J storm, Josephine, until August 11th. So we're just now all of a sudden beginning to keep pace now with last year, although, again, we're still behind last year in terms of what we saw. We're running about 4 or 5 storms behind. But again, late August into September, a lot can happen very quickly, as we've seen in past years. So we'll see how this system in the coming days ahead does develop. And again, it will be the F storm, Fred. And I could remember back in 1979, there was a Hurricane Frederick. You may remember that. That
Yes.
was David came
and
earlier
Frederick
in that season, and Frederick. But this is just plain old Fred. So there you go.
Yeah, Frederick got Dauphin Island in the Gulf of Mexico, south of Alabama, no longer exists thanks to Hurricane Frederick. All right, let's get. We'll do Briller Jeopardy tonight. Mother Briller feeling so much better. She's walking around with a cane now, which is terrific. So we're very happy to hear that. If she can't skate in the Winter Olympics, she could use the cane to trip up everybody else on the ice if she'd like. But anyhow, uh, let's take a look at what Mr. Briller has. I'm trying to. Why is it not loading? Come on.
Load, darn you, load.
Oh, God. I can't load Messenger up on here now all of a sudden. Why is it not? Oh, here it comes. All right, good. It's finally there. By the way, James Harris sent me a message, Joe, and I think you probably saw it. I'm sure someone sent it to you. Maybe Kenny Musey sent you the fact that the Farmer's Almanac's got their winter forecast out already.
Yes, yes, I do know. In fact, I already have my copy of the Farmer's Almanac.
Okay, well, don't say anything about it because
I won't.
Yeah, good.
No, I do astronomy for them. So
okay. Oh, all right.
I get as a lovely fringe benefit. They send me a few copies in advance, so I've already perused and looked at the upcoming winter season, and
it's too early to talk about that stuff. Okay, so here we go. So the category tonight, 5 states. All right, 5 states that have never had a high temperature above 105. There are 5 states that have never had a high temperature above 105. They might have hit 105, but never above 105. So name those 5 states.
Okay. How about New Hampshire?
New Hampshire is not one of those 5 states.
It's not one of those 5 states?
No, it is not one of those 5 states.
So in other words, New Hampshire has had a temperature above 105 degrees.
Correct.
Wow. Vermont?
Vermont is on the list, having hit 105, but not above 105.
Okay. See, I'm saying to myself, go for Maine, but I just have a feeling that somehow or other Maine managed at one point in time to go above 105 degrees, but I'm going to say it anyway. Maine.
Maine is also on the list. They're listed here at number 3. With a high of 105. Okay. There are 3 states left.
All right. Well, I know New York is above 105 degrees.
Right.
So let's see. Dare I say Massachusetts? See, that's a funny thing. New Hampshire has been above 105. But Vermont has not. But Massachusetts might, the sea breeze might counter. I'll say Massachusetts.
Well, had you said Massachusetts, which you did say Massachusetts, it was the incorrect answer. So Massachusetts is not on the list. There are 3 remaining states on this list.
All right. How about Michigan?
No, Michigan is not on the list. I'm going to need to help you with this. Okay. So
No. All right. We're including all 50 states.
Yes.
So how about Alaska?
Alaska is on the list. They've hit 100, but they haven't gone above that.
Okay. And how about Hawaii?
Hawaii is also on there. 100, but not above it. So that leaves you with one state that has not gone above 105. In fact, they've gotten to 104, but not above 105, and they've only gotten to 104.
I don't really know what else to. The only other state I would go for, because I know. I'm sure that North Dakota and South Dakota have done it.
Oh,
and I'm
God,
sure
yes.
Montana has done it. dare I say Idaho?
No,
Idaho
you
is
don't dare
like,
say Idaho. I would suggest that you return back to the neighborhood that you were at the beginning of all of this.
how about Rhode Island?
How about Rhode Island? Rhode Island is the correct answer. So after prodding and kicking and sticking you with pins, you've got the 5 states.
Well, Rhode Island did it mainly because it's so small, so there's a limited number of places that can possibly get to over 105 degrees.
Exactly.
There you
So,
go.
but that was it. So that concludes our show for tonight. Oh, a helicopter just went
Really?
by. Yeah, a helicopter just went by here.
I could hear. I think I could hear it like thump,
Yeah,
thump.
yeah, it was a chopper. They must be, maybe some cows on the loose or something. I don't know. Did they ever find that bull? The one that was loose on Long Island in Mastic?
They saw it recently, but I don't know if they ever actually caught it.
I mean,
So I don't know.
it's almost, isn't it well over a week now? Maybe it's even 10 days since all of that stuff was going on.
When we were Long Islanders, Joe, we were well aware of everything that was going on. But since we're off the island of Long, both you and I, it's more difficult to stay abreast of, because back when we were living there, I mean, we knew everything that was going on.
Nothing could happen. Right. Nothing could happen without us
20
knowing
years
about
ago,
it.
they had remember the islip garbage barge?
Yes.
Every day they were trying to dump that garbage and they couldn't find a place to do it. Now, I don't know about the bull.
Okay, just was wondering.
I do not know.
All right. So you know what? It's a Thursday night. The weather is on the quiet side. There really isn't a whole lot for us to speculate on. So let's call it a night, folks. Everybody, tomorrow, no show. We usually don't have a show on Friday, and we usually don't do a show on Saturday unless there's weather going on either day, and in which case we would jump on, but there isn't, so we're not. So I guess we'll be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Okie dokie.
Well, you will.
Oh, that's right. You're not.
Will.
Okay, right. You're not going to be on. I just thank you for reminding me. So I'm going to be solo on Sunday. All right. So since I'm going to be solo on Sunday, I may move the show up a little earlier and do it at 10:30 or even 10 o'clock. Okay, but I'll think about it. But for now, let's plan on 11 and we'll go from there. Okay. So everybody have a great night and have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday at either 10 o'clock, 10:30, or 11 o'clock. I'll let you know.
And one final thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. Monday is August 9th, correct?
All day.
Okay, so I have a talk at 6:30 on Monday, which means that if we come back, we should come back at 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
Instead of 7:30.
All right. That's fine.
So there you are.
All right. So just remind me on Monday that we're at 8 o'clock because I'm not going to remember.
I will do.
All right.
I will do that.
Okay, folks. Have a great night, great Friday, great Saturday. We'll see you on